Marigold Academy, Public Sector Accounting and Finance, ICAN skills level. We're in week 11 of our Google Meet live classes. Welcome to class. I remain Shonibara David by name, ACACTI. It's good to have us in class again this week. It was such a productive one last week, and we hope to build on that this week. Of course, we're in week 11, and what does it mean for us? It actually means that we have just 1 week to go for our Google Meet live classes before our revision live class. Then we prepare for that means that we are actually done with our curriculum for the diet, and we are wishing you well in the exams. I trust our day went well. The class is about to begin. Please, I don't know who is this. I don't know who is actually having their mics on muted. Let me see what I can do from this end. If I can actually mute such person. Of course, I have the responsibility to do that. Good, that has been taken care of. Please, if you can hear me, signify where you are joining us from. Let us know. Drop an emoji in the chat box, or probably just hit the reaction button. Signify where you are joining us from. This is 7:10 p.m. Nigerian time, and the class is beginning immediately. Good to hear. Before I do anything, you always know I have to make an important call or an important disclaimer. This class is not meant to be a standalone class. It is meant to be a complementary class. And maybe by complementary, I actually mean that this class is not a class that should be held in isolation of the video lectures, right? So we have our video lectures that are specially designed for us to understand or to gain better understanding of our Google Meet topics, because any topic that we'll be treating here today, we would have been treating in our Google Meet classes, we definitely would have shared it on the chapter where you can actually find that in the video lecture. And trust me, when we come here, it's more like we are just revising, or probably we are just trying to brainstorm. We are trying to look at, dissect some gray areas in whatever we have considered in the Google Meet lecture topics. So please do your best to get a video lectures. Reach out to the numbers on the screen, because to get video lectures or the chats, they are being up on various contact platforms, the platform that you can actually reach out to. And just to emphasize, the video lecture comes with solutions to ICAN past questions and ICAN Pathfinder. So do yourself the favor of actually getting that, and then we are good to go on that. So quickly, let's move on. We have a whole lot to cover this night. For you to stay focused, throughout this class, and for you to get the best learning experience, it's good to also minimize distractions. So we advise you to put your phone on the airplane mode, do not disturb mode. You could actually close some social medias that could cause unnecessary disturbance. Then it's also very important that you engage fully. Of course, this might be the only chance to grasp, today's concept. Please do yourself a favor of abiding by some of these rules, and of course, the class will be quite insightful and engaging for you. Okay, that being said, I'll just a reiteration the ICAN video lectures for better understanding of the Google Meet lecture topics. It's good for us to get them, which includes the solutions to the ICAN past questions and ICAN Pathfinder. Because you know that this is a new syllabus, and we don't know what to entail, what this new syllabus entails. We don't know what to expect, right? Or not, honestly, we don't know what topics that ICAN might be focusing on. Of course, every syllabus comes with their area of competence. They come with what they want to do. They come with whatever things they are trying to test, whatever things they are trying to experiment. But the question is, would you be on the side of history, or would you be the scapegoat? That's what you should be asking. So that's the major thing that would always be the question for me to you. Would you want to be the scapegoat, or would you want to be on the good side of history? Oh, I qualified. or I moved to this professional level using the first diet of the syllabus that was changed in 2025. Of course, there will always be people that will be on the scapegoat side, and there will always be people that will be on the good side of history. But I hope we all be on the good side of history. And when I talk about hoping that we are on the good side of history, it's not just something word of mouth. You have to be deliberate. You need to be dogged about it. You need to show zeal. In my corporate report, in my SBR class on Tuesday, I had a quick session with the professional students, and it was I got really upset because I was asking certain questions and they weren't giving me good answers, and it's annoying that at week 11 we have less than 50 days to your examination. If you are writing 5 papers, if you are writing 4 papers, if you are writing 3 papers, you should at this level read at least 2 hours a day if you want to show that you are serious. Revision. So people are preparing for 4 papers, they've not started reading. I don't know what you are putting your trust in. Later you say ICAN is hard. ICAN is not hard, it depends on how you are preparing. You cannot cheat ICAN. If you cheat ICAN, it's going to cheat you. So don't let me wear my motivational speaker quote this evening because we have a whole lot to cover. So this evening we'll be looking at some ethical issues in public sector accounting and finance, right? We'll also be looking at Fiscal Responsibility Act. See, if you have not been paying attention in my classes, please always pay attention in this area that I want to look at today because I can assure you that it will be tested. One thing that is constant key in this syllabus that you know that you'll be tested on is ethical issues in every topic. I don't know if you have studied the syllabus very well, but you will always have ethical issues in every aspect of every topic you'll be looking at in this new syllabus because there's great emphasis on ethics, there's great emphasis on you know IT, there's great emphasis on sustainability and all of those things. These are recent developments in the world of finance and accounting. Now, when it comes to public sector accounting and finance, what are the things that you think ethically we can actually consider? What are the things that we need to look at? So that is why we need to consider why this is important. We need to also talk about Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007. Why is this also important? So let's go through it quickly. Like I said, this week we will analyze and provide solutions to assignment questions for week 11. Of course, it's on the members areas already, and I'm very sure you can actually have access to that. Please do yourself the favor. Whenever we drop questions on the members area, why don't you attempt it quickly, firstly, before you then try the solution? Some of us we like to deceive ourselves. We first go and check the solution and come up provide solution to it. Something you need to understand your strategic position. You need to understand where you are. What's your learning curve currently, so you would know how to improve on it. It will give you a false solution when you go to check the solution firstly before treating the question. It will give you a false solution that and you'll be so untruthful to yourself, right? You don't want to do that to yourself at this point. Please understand the question, dissect it, solve it. When you are done, go through the solution, understand your weaknesses, understand your strength, understand questions you wasted time on, understand questions that you believe are key problems for you at this level. 1 month, 2 months to the exam, you can still do the needful. I'm telling you, a lot can still change. I shared in my class, I think my SBR class on Tuesday, how in my final level then I referenced, I wrote 5 papers. I used to say it in this class, I don't want to know how busy you can be. You can never be as busy as I was when I was doing my ICAN. I was actually running 9 to 5, my 9 to 5 program, 9 to 5 job. I was also running an academics program all the way in Obafemi Awolowo University in Ife. I was also running my account program with a tuition house in Ibadan. So I used to navigate it there. I think I've shared it in this class. So what I usually do then, I was telling them that see, when it comes to sitting for ICAN examination, when it comes to understanding how questions are being tested, I mean, it's very important for you to understand to understand your strategic position, right? Where are you currently? Where are you heading towards? Right? So when I wrote 5 papers, then I referenced three. I passed two. Then when I was going to write 3 papers, I said to myself, because one of the papers humbled me. I used to say it everywhere I go to. One of the papers, everyone knew me in my center for strategic financial management. How I always answer for it before they tell you I've discounted in class, I've done this, giving them the work cost of capital, I've done a lot of things and all. So imagine someone that used to do all of that now scoring 9%. So always scoring 9% in strategic financial management. It was something I didn't expect because prior to when I was registering for my ICAN, if they told me then that someone scored single digits, I always laugh that didn't they write anything? Someone scored 9, someone scored 2, someone scored 3, someone scored 11, or someone scored 15. I always look at, is it that they didn't even write anything at all? So I was now putting that question straight to myself. So it was quite funny. Didn't you write anything to you? Of course, I did write something, but ICAN will always humble you if you are proud or if you don't understand certain things. ICAN will humble you. So I thought to myself, I know, I knew I was going to reference SFM then. So immediately I didn't know about other courses, but I was very sure of SFM because this is an examination that this is an examination that 30 minutes into the exam, or a friend of mine just came to me, the guy who was seen as diet. Immediately told me that. I was just saying, wow. People started submitting. I've never seen that when I can examination. I mean, start writing my kind examination all the way from from ATS down to professional level. I've never experienced that. 30 minutes into the examination, oh, people started signifying that they want to submit. I mean, there was no time to waste time in the exam. There was no time to waste again since you saw it that I don't know all of this. Let me go and be reading. The guy told me, guy, you go see next diet. I want to go and read for audit because audit is what we used to write at professional level after S7. I see. And I was there. I was saying to myself, no, I can't. I can't come back for S7. I kept on struggling. I answered 4 questions with everything scored 9. So I knew I wasn't doing really well. Immediately I left the exam, I went to get Omolewa. I went to get textbooks. I finished SFM syllabus in August, and exam was in November. I finished SFM. I'm not saying I'm reading one or I did not cover. I covered the whole SFM syllabus before August, and I was actually writing the examination in November. I still have my notes, my books till today, and that's the major reason why I lecture SFM till today. I can enter any class and lecture second to today. So that's to say there's always a blessing in failure and all of those things at times, but don't fear, please. You can always get that blessing outside when you pass through and still read it. Right? I don't feel, please. Although we just like to pick the good side of failing, we say we use it to acquire mastery. You can always acquire mastery even if you don't fail. So don't let anybody use failure to you fail. You fail is a good thing. Nobody wants to fail, right? Finished SFM. I was not planning. Okay, I felt I was going to write case study that diet. So I was preparing side by side, but SFM was the major exam I was preparing for. I told my friends I will humble SFM. It humbled me. I will humble SFM. Right. So we're preparing, and I was going to register about 2 weeks to the examination, and a friend of mine just called me. Guy, what are you? I said I was going to register for the exam, and he just told me how many papers. I said 2 papers, of course, 2 study, and I was going to register for only case studies and um, SFM, right? So I felt, okay, let me register for it. And that my friend just told me, guy, you're teaching advanced tax. Why don't you go and write six for advanced tax, this study, and just take the O3 at once. Don't stress, just take the O3 at once. So I felt, oh, wow, the O3. I didn't start preparing for advanced tax early enough. I'm telling you what can change within few weeks or a month the exam. That's what led me to this sharing this with you. Now, he just told me that thing about 2 weeks to the exam. I said, oh, so the guy is a manager now in Deloitte. And I was like, oh, okay, let me see what I can do. Then I have it to see that book, my revision book, where I wrote boldly on it. Started preparing for advanced tax 14 days to the exam. I started preparing for advanced tax 14 days to the exam. And guess what? That was the diet I qualified. I passed advanced tax, I passed case study, and I passed SSN. That's the diet I qualified. Imagine I did not register. So there's still a whole lot that you can change between now and then. And funnily, it reflected the way I prepared for the exam, reflected in my results because In my SFM, I had it, something, I don't really remember. I don't put SFM. And it was not even enough one play for me. But someone that they gave 9, right? So the at and case study I actually scored 50-50. That's why I always say pass once and pass for life. Today, I will carry my coat, my suit. They will introduce me as an AC. Nobody wants to know that I scored 50 in advanced class or case study. As a matter of fact, I'm also a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. They will not say because of my scored 50 in advanced class, the final level, they should not give me a CPI when I apply, right? So, can you see what I'm saying? Just try your best. Pass one, 50. Don't chase 50 sharp, but just try anything you can do. Pass, pass. So that's it. So please, there's still a whole lot of things to be done. You can still fix it. Those of you taking FM, don't joke. Don't joke with FM. FM is the junior brother of SFM. It's a new syllabus, it's a new topic in the syllabus. I'm telling you, don't joke with it. Right? Okay, let's move on. So why are we looking at some of these topics? We want to understand the strategic role of medium-term expenditure framework as a tool for public financial finance management. I think I've spoken about it here. Did I do something quickly? Who can quickly run me through? What do you understand by MTF? Let's have a run through that. Then this will be a revision class. Who can help? We are about 2 to 20 on this course. So I believe someone should be able to run us through what we mean by MTF. Who can do that? Let me call names. Quickly. I had a lot to cover in this class. MTF. Nobody can talk about MTF. Nobody is going to be in the chat box. Oh my goodness. Um, MTF, no one understands. I've explained MTF several times in this class. It's not once, it's not twice. Even when we're doing budget, I spoke about medium term expenditure framework. Okay, I will move on. I will move on. Posterity will have it at our side. So I'll move on. So let's another reason why we are looking at this is because the core principles of prudency and transparency in the management of the country's resources. I mean, in the light of various corruption and all of these things that are happening, it's very good for us to talk about the core principles of prudency, transparency, of course, when we are managing government resources. Then we also want to explain how Fiscal Responsibility Act aims to achieve some of these ideal things that we are talking about, like transparency, prudency. When someone is responsible, no, the money that is kept in the care, like entrusted onto, or the resources that are being entrusted to such person, is actually um, carrying them out in the right way. Is actually, um, being properly accountable, expending them well for the right purposes and for the right way. Okay, so we also want to grasp um, the significance of ethical behavior in public sector accounting and finance, just to ensure accountability. What else? So, I mean, to get the most from this lesson, make sure you have watched the video lecture before. How many of us have seen the video lecture on this particular topic? I mean, I shared this in the class last week. I was looking at this particular topic. How many of you have actually gone through it in the video lecture? Just give me reactions. We have gone through this particular topic in your video lectures, please. Can we hear me? I don't want to sound check when I enter this class. Wow, that's the thing I should even be asking. Can we all hear me? Please, if you can hear me, go to the chat box. Okay, good. I just have to quickly because I did make mention of that. That give me reaction that I didn't see that. There. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on. In this class, like I said, we are looking at ethical. Let me run. Let me because there. So for those of us who need access to the ICAN video lectures, please call us up with the admin in this number. I've said it before. The ICAN video lectures, please get it to better understand the Google Meet lecture topics and it includes the solutions to ICAN facts, questions, and ICAN facts. So let's look at the lecture outline. Of course, To prepare for this class, please review the comprehensive video lectures for chapters 50 and 51. So you could actually see this topic on chapter 50 and 51, which actually cover the following key areas. So I want us to look at ethics first. Of course, we are looking at ethical issues in the public sector, accounting and finance. We'll be looking at fiscal responsibility act. But this topic is actually an interesting one, and we are going to have a very insightful conversation. We are going to have a very interesting conversation, right? So please do your best to pay attention in this class. Do your possible best to pay huge attention in this class. I'm begging you because there's no time, there's no time I get to actually take this topic that, students don't usually have much to say, especially in the context of Nigeria. And please note, this area is highly sensitive. So let's start with ethical issues. Of course, as chartered accountant, you are expected to uphold high ethical standards. I mean, there was a particular debate then when I was in skills level, then we used to do management, governance, and ethics. Then, when I was in my skills level, I remember my lecturer, very, very sound man. He used to, management, governance, and ethics had the management side, it had risk, it had governance, corporate governance, and it had ethics. So there's a particular man that used to take us ethics. So the man came to class, and in that particular class, he was discussing ethics. And he said he was discussing the five fundamental principles, code of conduct of every accountant. Who can remind me of it again? Hey, this one will not even be. Who can remind us of the five fundamental ethical principles for every chartered accountant? I will not agree for this one. We must answer it before we move on. Please run down to the chat box. Even if you cannot type and you cannot unmute, please, I need someone to say something on this. ICAN has tested this question, this particular thing, at the professional level before. ICAN has tested it at the professional level for 5 marks in corporate reporting then. So the joking with it, that they cannot test it. Okay? Transparency here. Hey, thank God I asked this question. Thank you, Jesus. Ah, 5 professional code of conduct for every chartered accountant. I want something right.
We have
How many of
confidentiality.
okay,
Confi- we have integrity.
okay, two,
We have professional competence and due care.
good, three,
Then we have eh, sorry, I'm coming. I've mentioned confidentiality.
okay.
Integrity. I've done.
Yes, you mentioned integrity, professional competence, and due care. You mentioned confidentiality. So remain two.
Okay,
In
yeah,
fact, even if you don't give
objectivity. Yeah.
objectivity, good. If you don't even mention the last one, you really tried. Oh yeah, one more. But just try now.
Accountability.
Yes, someone has given you. Mrs. Esther Ubi, she
Yeah,
has given you
yeah,
the last one
thank
that you are
you.
looking for. Thank you. You tried. You tried. Thank you, man. So I'm surprised though, sister Mrs. Esther Ubi, you actually you said due diligence. Where did you see due diligence, man? I need you to say something on that.
It's professional due care and diligence. I wanted to write to professional
So
competence and due care.
thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. I understand. You know the beautiful thing about this class is you are allowed to make mistakes. This is where you can make mistakes and it will not be pervasive. The next place that you make mistakes that it will be very costly inside the ICAN exam hall. That one, there's nothing, there is no correction there. Have you gotten outside the exam hall that you remember that this is not what you should have written? You know how you can feel now. You cannot go back and correct it. But yeah, you still have the luxury. You can correct it. So that's why we welcome it. We welcome opinions. If I give me the wrong opinion, I would gladly welcome it and know that okay, you can actually read more, you can understand more on it. So we have integrity. Let me run us through it. When we talk about integrity, as chartered accountant, you must be straightforward in your dealings. You must be honest, You must be truthful in all professional and business relationships. You must not mislead anyone, right? With any information, you must not mislead anyone or try to lure someone into what you know that is not. So that's integrity. You must have integrity in character and in mind, right? Your integrity must be top notch. If you say A, let it be A. If it is B, let it be B. That's integrity. Now, objectivity. Now, there's a way integrity and objectivity work hand in hand. You cannot tell me that you don't have integrity and you're objective. It does not work that way. It's not possible. So, what do I mean by objectivity? It means that in your day-to-day activities, in your day-to-day work, you must not be biased. So, there's no how. If you have integrity, you cannot be biased. Trust me. You must not be biased. You must not allow bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence, right, to override your professional judgment. So, three things that can be a problem to you when it comes to objectivity is self-review. There are some threats. We have self-review threats, we have familiarity threats, and we have self-interest threats. Wait, you are at the skills level. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I've forgotten that many of us we've had CSME scraps, and many of us don't know this. Anyway, this is things that we're doing on that CSME. I mean, again, in my own days, we used to call it management governance and ethics. Now they converted it to CSME. Now they remove it entirely. But they did not remove it. They threw it into somewhere. Those of you doing FM, haven't you done it? FM. Who is doing FM here? Financial management. No one. Thank you, ma'am.
Um,
So you miss it there now. So another one is professional competence and due care. You see, the way professional competence and due care works, this is my run to whenever I am teaching topics like this, or whenever I say pass once and pass for life. This is where I used to run to. Do you know why I used to run there? Because students to say, pass once and pass for life. You are not trying to breed, competent accountants. You are not trying. You just want people that want to just pass like and run through it, right? And they will not come back to it later on in life. That's not the kind of people I'm trying to breed, right? So when I say pass once, pass for life, what I mean by that is that just scale through the examination. Once you are done, you will always have MCPD, professional continuing, mandatory continuing professional education, right? Where from time to time, I can't count the number of um, various webinars I have attended on this new tax act. I can't count the number of webinars I have attended on sustainability reporting. It is because I want to stay relevant in my field, right? If you don't stay relevant, you before you know, you will not know anything that is happening again. Imagine a chartered accountant does not know the four acts that were amended, tax acts that were introduced. You don't even know, you cannot even say anything on it. So you are just there looking. I mean, and you know, of course, that these are things that normally, if you are doing ICAN will ask. So someone was asking me, based on the recent development, all the things that have been happening, and I can test it in the new in this November. So I don't know. I'm not an examiner if you can test it, but I'll tell you one thing for a fact. Any new recent development in the economy or whatever is going on in the world, if you count 6 months after that particular um development came into place. Like when I say came into place, that means that it was signed into law or probably passed as a standard or passed as a particular amendment. It has been totally sealed that it has been passed. Not they're just talking about it, they want to do this one. Once it has been confirmed that it has been passed, I can contest it 6 months after that time. They believe 6 months enough is enough for preparation, so they can test it. Now you now need to start counting. When did they release the act? When did they say the president accepted it? Is it up to 6 months? That's when you can now answer the question. You can test anything on them. But me, I don't like to see whether they can test it or not. I've given you the basis on which I've spoken to various ICAN examiners. I'm close with various ICAN examiners, right? And I know when they can test it. So I don't now know if they will test it or not. That's my own. Okay. Now, professional competence and due care, it states that whenever you are carrying out an engagement on behalf of your client, always show professional competence. If you don't know this particular, I've had some particular engagement before that some people came that should prepare financial statement for them, but they were in the insurance industry, and I've never worked to prepare financial statement for service-based companies like banks, insurance companies, before. I don't, although I might have, I might have knowledge of what they do, but I've never prepared it. I told them plainly that, see, I've never prepared this thing, but if you give me time, I can speak to some of my guys that are in that field. I did not lie. That's professional competence and detail. If you have accepted an engagement, then you must show professional competence and detail. Don't go and prepare financial statement that you'll be doing more. You know what it means by Jomo? It's my boss that used to say that in Jomo. That means that when you see that this thing is not balanced, you gotta look for something. You add it to it and you make it balanced, right? So that's what they mean by Jomo accountant. So please, I'm begging you, whatever you do, don't be a Jomo accountant. Exercise professional confidence, detail, whatever you are doing. We cannot talk about ethics without talking about some of these things. Although there are still some ethical considerations in the public sector, but these are general ethical considerations. Now, the fourth one is confidentiality. This is one of the things that many people, and I'm very sure many of you, your place of work, you sign NDA before entering that place of work, non-disclosure agreement. That okay, anything that's confidential, don't disclose it. And I'm very sure many people are still guilty of that. Even your spouse should not know about what the company, your client, whatever you are working for. They should not know. That is confidentiality. You should not divulge certain information except you are giving authorization to divulge it. Although there are some exemptions to when you can divulge. If it is going to be in public interest, probably a court mandates you that, oh, divulge this particular information or give us this particular information, then you can actually do that. Or in the case of whistleblowing, right? You can actually do that also. Now, the last one is professional behavior, and this is what I wanted to talk about that made me ask this question. So I had a particular lecturer there. Professional behavior says that you must not engage in any activity or any behavior that will bring disrepute or discredit to the profession. Now, when we're talking about this thing, then that my lecture, I said, for example, you will see some chartered accountants or student member. You don't know that you are semi-chartered student member. Once you have registered, you are seen as a member in the making, and you must embody everything that the institute carries. It's not until you become chartered accountant, or you are not saying you can even forgive student members. They've not gone through the induction process. But a chartered accountant, you not a chartered accountant, has his button, the button of his shoe, open in public, walking on the street, eating corn. That is that not a disrepute to the institute? We were arguing it in class. And some people are saying, where the ICAN write that one? That they did not write anything like that, that you know that you don't know it's personal, monitoring is personal life. But at the end of the day, I discovered something in that like that. See, even the littlest behaviors can actually bring disrepute to that institute. Because once you are a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, wherever you are a branch of ICAN in that place. And the way you Okay, sorry, please, if you can hear me, give me the reaction. I lost my network for a while, but I'm back now. So what we are trying to say, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what we are trying to say is professional behavior, and I understood that. You call yourself a student member or a chartered accountant, you are the one that will be arguing with conductor or you'll be shouting on Monday morning. And this is you will lock his tie in Lagos. Or you say, I will show you the person I am today. I will do this thing. Professional behavior. Or you see, you carry ACA tag, put it on your neck, on X. You are the keeper's warrior, dragging, forming savage. How do you want them to see other members, ICAN members? Or you as an ACA, I mean, some of these things, that's why it is called ethics, and it is very relative. You see an ACA, someone that calls you your Israel ACA on TikTok, you know, doing certain things that can bring disruptive to the institute. You should not be seen there. That's why in all our dealings, me as a federal accountant, in all my dealings, I'm always careful. Things that can bring disruptive to the institute. Because of you see someone maybe you don't ask them, is that not what they did there? Is that not what they told them to do there? That's it. So let's move on quickly. So since we now understand, I mean these are general and the icon can test it anywhere. So don't say it's only FM or this is where they taught us. You can decide to test it anywhere. There's no code of conduct, code of ethics in 5 fundamental principles in this thing. In CR when they tested the syllabus of CR when they tested it. Is like so okay. So in order to now, let's look at it in the context of PISA. Why are we considering this? Let's even ask ourselves PISA. In order to we want to stamp out the rising cases of corruption, fraud, greed, avarice, all of these things that are being pervasive in the society, right, today. And we want to also, in the view that we need a total overhaul. And we need a view, we're trying to get a total overhaul of the of how they view the country, our country as a whole. How do they view our accountability organs, right? Amongst various transparency internationals, how do they view us, right? So all of these things are pervasive in the society, and in view of the need to actually overhaul the image of the country before accountability organs, such as Transparency International, even the federal government of various nations. So, in view of all of this, the federal government of Nigeria has introduced various regulatory laws and measures to actually put checks on ethics in the public sector. Please, are we paying attention? So please ensure you are able to identify and discuss the major institutions that have been charged with various responsibility of ensuring compliance to those ethical standards in the public sector. So we're talking about those various institutions that have been put in place to curb ethical, decadence, to curb ethical issues, or to promote a strong ethics in the public sector. Who can give us, examples of some of those institutes? Please, I'm begging you, ensure that you can list, ethical offenses also, and also discuss the appropriate stipulated, sanctions for those various ethical offenses, right? Because see, in this topic, this particular topic, these are the areas that questions usually come from. So you need to prepare yourself for that. These are the areas that questions come from. So because of our time, I want to cover fiscal responsibility also. It's very important for me. Very, very important for me. Let's briefly talk about some of those major institutes and let's talk about their contribution. Um, okay, okay. I'll do it this way, anyways. If we are unable to consider fiscal responsibility, then we can actually treat it in the video lecture next week. We just briefly talk about. I will ensure I put it in our live class so that we can actually be familiar with it and we can run through it and all of that. Okay, now the first one I want to talk about that I expect everybody to know, one of those institutions that have been put in place to ensure compliance with ethical standards keep the public sector or various arms of the public sector in check is the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I hope you are taking something down. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Now, looking at EFCC was established by Act Number 5 of 2002. Then it was the former President, President Olusegun Obasanjo, that was there, and it was effective from 4th December that same year. And why were they established? They were established to actually combat economic and financial crimes in Nigeria. Did you hear what I said? Not to go and be arresting people on the road, or even drinking in theater law, to be busting people's house and be breaking it. They were established to do what? To combat economic and financial crimes in the Nigerian states. We will be exposed to a lot of things that you don't even know about today. Now, so it was like I said, it was the President President Olusegun Obasanjo that introduced it. Now let's look at more detail about the commission. Please pay attention here. Please pay attention here. The commission was actually empowered. You see the word I'm using. The commission was empowered to prevent, to investigate. Please hope you are writing all of these things, because these are the things that examiners want to see when they ask you to talk about the composition or talk about why EFCC was set up. And they will not be asking you all these normal questions. They can just bring a case study that, in the public sector, various institutions have been established, and recently we work with the power starter, and they sent from one of the institutions, EFCC, they sent a particular letter to this thing that they should do so thing that they are applying. That your boss was confused that what are they doing in the public sector, or what is it not this that they are set up for. You have been told as an ICAN student member to enlighten your boss on the why the EFCC was set up, their composition, and their all of those things. That's how they will put it. Nobody will tell you to find or to list. You think you are still 8 years level, you are in here, you are still doing BSc. Okay, these are how questions will be structured. I'm telling you. So the composition was actually empowered. The commission was empowered to prevent, to investigate. Prevent one. If they cannot prevent, once it has happened, they can investigate, right? Then, if they've investigated, and they've seen, oh, this person is wrong, this person is right, they can decide to do what? To prosecute or to sanction. You get, I took it from three things that I'm looking at there. One, to prevent. Two, to investigate. Three, to prosecute and sanction. What are they now sanctioning? That's where we are going to. They are sanctioning economic and financial crimes, right? That is what they are sanctioning. They are sanctioning to prevent, to investigate. This should be like the memory verse here. Prevent, investigate, prosecute, or sanction, right? Economic and financial crimes. Now, they are actually also charged with the responsibility of enforcing the provisions of other laws and regulations. So if we have other laws and regulations that actually are protecting economic, and financial crimes, they can also enforce those particular laws. Who can give me an example of such one of those laws? In fact, I really appreciate the person that gives me a very good example. There are some laws that have been put in place that EFCC can also enforce. Who can talk about one of those laws? Because when you enter the bank, you see it there. They will put their certificate there, right? It boldly written there. Thank you. God bless you, man. God bless you, man. Money Laundry Act. That's one of the law. The Money Laundry Act of 1995. So you see that many times, if the SEC are even trying to quote, they'll say, this is where we are quoting from. So they can also enforce the laws of some particular act. In as much as those acts are set in place to protect economic and to also guard against economic and financial crimes, right? Please, I don't want to really talk much on this because of time. If you leave me alone, I will talk. I'm looking at time. EFCC, the composition, I will talk about some of the things that you don't even know about EFCC. But I have some other things to talk about here. So I don't know. Some of those laws, aside money laundering, don't let me go to money laundering. Aside money laundering, there's also something called BOFI. I don't know if you have heard of BOFI. There's BOFI. You can give me the full meaning of BOFI. We also have the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Related Offences Act of 1995. Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Related Offences Act. We also have the Failed Banks Act, although some people call it financial malpractice in banks. Failed Banks Act in 1994, or you can call it financial malpractice in banks. Someone has not given us the full meaning of. Thank you, ma. Mrs. Tony Ayeni, you are in the spirit. Since you have read this particular you have read this particular topic, you have watched it in the video lecture. We have Miscellaneous Offences Act. Miscellaneous Offences Act. Then talking about BOFI, that's the Bank and Other Financial Institution Act of 1991. So we also have other institutions that have been set up to tackle ethical issues in the public sector. One of them is also the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act of 2000. Please just go through. You don't need to cram anything here. Just understand why they were set up for. Right? Understand why they were set up for. Just talk about some of their responsibility, what they should be doing, a little about their composition. Like, I wanted to talk about this composition, but it's easy inside the video lecture to take my time. Right? There's also Code of Conduct Bureau. I know most of you must have heard of Code of Conduct Bureau. There's also Code of Conduct Tribunal. Please, I can have tested this question before. What's the difference between Code of Conduct Bureau and Code of Conduct Tribunal? Hey, ICAN students, professional students. This is Tony Ayenima. Can you help us? What's the difference between the two? I will not talk about it if no one gives me at least an answer. Okay, let's move on. Another one is the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NEITI. That one is very recent, 2007. It's very recent, 2007. So, I mean, there are a whole lot. Time is going. Let me quickly touch. In the next, I have about 13 minutes to spend in this class. I came into this class around 7:56, but I'll give extra 4 minutes for the time I took I want to leave this class 8:10 max. I want to leave this class 8:10 max. So does anyone want to try? My mind is still going back to the differences between Code of Conduct Bureau and Code of Conduct Tribunal. Someone should help. Just say something. In my class, once you say something, I will know if you have an idea or not. I'm still expecting. No one. Should we move on? Okay. I believe we all know it then. Let's move on. Fiscal. Now let's look at how to explain Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007. With Fiscal Responsibility Act, what are we trying to, what are we trying to achieve with Fiscal Responsibility Act? What are we trying to? Let me just give you the background of Fiscal Responsibility Act. It was actually the reason why the Fiscal Responsibility Act. I mean, we want to be responsible in a financial way. It entails prudent management of the nation's resources. Whenever you hear fiscal responsibility, it's just all about how do we want to manage the nation's resources in a prudent manner that can promote sustainability over the long run or promote long-term macroeconomic stability and also ensure greater accountability and transparency in the Nigerian public finance. So I've mentioned three things there. We want to ensure that there's prudent management of nation's resources. We want to promote long-term macroeconomic stability, and we want to enhance greater accountability and transparency. So once there's prudency of you manage the nation's resources, It can also promote, long-term macroeconomic stability. It can also lead to greater accountability and transparency, right, in Nigeria's public finance. Now, let's run it back. Let's go down memory lane. Before the introduction of FRA, some people call it FRA, fiscal responsibility act, Nigeria had serious issues. Let's be honest. Let's be candid with ourselves. Nigeria had. Sorry, I have to sit up, right? Because we're talking about serious matters. Nigeria had, serious issues. Now, if I say had serious issues, I don't know if the current economic landscape is even more serious. I don't know, but that one is something I want to be talking about later, not now. Um, um, I, I don't know where to start from. That's why I'm saying because I know even the current economic climate is not smiling. So let me just say, so there was excessive borrowing. We had lack of transparency in budgeting. We have various fiscal discipline by MDAs. We take budget to the house of to the assembly. The regulators that they won't even tell you to pass it up. All of these things. That you know, you see the level 13 or level 14 officer having an apartment in Lekki. Where did you get the money from? Fiscal indiscipline, lack of transparency, excessive borrowing. These are some of the things that FRA came to address. Now, what is the objective of FRA? Because if any question is going to come out, they will ask you, what is the objective of FRA? What do you think of Fiscal Responsibility Act? Now, it was set to actually make, when FRA came with strict rules. I'm telling you, FRA came with straight guidelines, not dilly-dallying around. FRA came with strict guidelines. They said clear rules for fiscal management. So you cannot spread recklessly. They gave you, okay, prepare MTF every year. Do this also thing, right? Ensure you do this. Clear rules. FRA, some of you that have not gone through that FRA, please don't go through. There are certain things that you are not even aware about. So they also came, some of the objectives were to also control borrowings because they felt borrowing was on the rise. Now, after FRA, the borrowing go down or not? That one is your question to answer. It's not my own. Ensure transparency through proper reporting and disclosure, right? These are some. See, I'm not happy whenever I talk about some of these things. Objective of FRA because I'm talking about it and I know that FRA is there and it's just on paper. Don't let me talk. So let me teach. Don't let me talk. Let me talk. Let me teach. So number 4, promote accountability, right? When I say promote accountability, it's at all levels, whether states, whether federal government, whether local government. Then lastly, to support macroeconomic stability. So if they ask you for the objective of FRA, these are the 5 we should talk about. 1, to set clear rules for fiscal management. 2, to control borrowing. And that's the major reason why I made mention of some of the deficits that FRA came to, to, to actually curb, which one of those deficits was, excessive borrowings, fiscal indiscipline, there were no rules, there was no transparency, no accountability. And you see that some of these objectives are what they have come to address. Set clear rules for fiscal management, control borrowing, ensure transparency, promote accountability, support macroeconomic stability also, right? By making budgets more predictable. They introduced MTEF, right? So some of the key provisions of the act, I said I don't want to talk about MTF because I have made mention of MTF several in this class. And when I ask students, please say something about MTF, nobody could say anything. I'm not happy. I mean, we PISA is not hard to pass. See, PISA is one of the most simplest courses that you can pass at the street level. Do you know why? Because there's a pattern in which they test questions. You should not be writing PISA at this level and you're expecting them to be telling you to define adjusted cash flow or be telling you to define or to come and be saying to prepare the revenue collector's cash flow or to prepare treasury details. You are keying into more strategic things here. You are a semi-chartered accountant. They want you to understand what is going on in the public sector. Who are the finance officers of the government? How are audits done? What is public finance? Acts. Talk about various acts. Talk about how funds are being shared from the big pots, the federation account, how they move through to other accounts of the government. Every single, I mean, if you ask me as a person, exam is very direct. It's one of the courses that you can easily pass, but you need to read, sit down and read. You should be going into that exam, or you should not, and you don't know how to prepare a budget. You don't know the various types of budget in the public sector. You are not doing it. You don't understand investment appraisal in the public sector when there are various projects going on. Okay, I'm sorry. But these are not things that, it's not rocket science to you. So talking about MTF, MTF just states that the government must prepare a 3-year rolling plan that shows both the revenue and expenditure projections. That is the major reason why when you see any budget, after the year that they are preparing for, they will always show you their plans going forward for the next 3 years. That is MTF guideline, medium-term expenditure framework. So the annual budget that you now want for 2026 must have seen the picture right from 2025. So it is modeled based on what you have put in the previous budget. So what this thing is just ensuring that budgets are realistic and not just a wish list. That is it. Are we making any sense at all? I have 4 minutes. So another thing, key provisions of the act, it introduced annual budget. It introduced annual budget. Of course, the annual budget was aligned with the MTF, and of course, there's something called FSP, the fiscal strategic plan, paper rather, fiscal strategic paper. Then your budget must also set. I mean, in my office now, they've given us envelope for the year. We've had our bilateral meeting, they've given us envelope, what they want our budget to be next year. So we're actually drawing up our budget now. But don't forget that last year's budget asked for 2026 and 2026 and 2027. So whatever we are doing is in line with what we put in the MTF. I don't making any sense at all. So another key position in the act was it made certain restrictions on borrowing. It made certain restrictions on borrowing. Whenever I keep this part, I always laugh because you know that Fiscal Responsibility Act said that if governments want to borrow, that they can only borrow for capital expenditure and human development. Now you will see government, but let's move on. And they also said that the borrowing must be on concessional terms. What do we mean by concessional terms? It must be of favorable interest rate and long repayment period. It must be on what? Favorable interest rates. And they also said something in the MC in that Fiscal Responsibility Act on the session talking about borrowing restrictions. They said that your total debt must remain sustainable, right? So when you are doing your borrowings, you must compare it with your GDP. There's a ratio that was given there. Please, I'm just trying to be very, very concise and brief. I don't want to I don't want to waste too much time. I'm just giving us the highlights. If you ask me as a person, I've read the act and I understand. Then lastly, state and local governments must get approval from the National Assembly through the president for external borrowing. So if you as a state you want to borrow, you must get approval from the National Assembly. So you firstly meet the president, right? Then also through the National Assembly, then the National Assembly will get the access of the president. Then they also spoke about public debt management. That was what brought about the establishment of the debt management office. You see that we have debt management office, right? So there's also something that they call the sinking fund, right? The sinking fund is what they use to repay maturing bonds. So they also spoke about transparency and accountability, and they also spoke, that some provisions there is limits on deficit financing. So there's a limit to what I mean by deficit financing is for the year you have prepared your budget, your revenue, you prepare your expenditure. So you deduct your revenue from your expenditure and deduct your expenditure from your revenue. You still have expenditure exceeding your revenue. So that's called deficit financing. Now, when you have a deficit financing, you are not expecting money to actually finance that part of the expenditure. So you have to go and borrow. That's what we call debt. I know many of us have been deficit financing. And today it's not really clear to you. So you have revenue, you have expenditure. When you deduct, of course, expenditure will be incurred from the revenue. But in a situation where expenditure is higher than revenue, that means that you are relying on borrowing to actually finance this expenditure. That is what we call deficit financing. So they placed a particular limit on deficit financing. They said fiscal deficit must not exceed just 3% of your GDP in any financial year, except in the case of emergency. Probably there's war, COVID-19, and all of these things. So go and check. Nigeria currently, our current borrowing for the year. Go to your various sites. Check our current borrowing for this year. Has it exceeded 3% of our GDP? Has it? Okay, so thank you for thank you for staying with us this night. I mean, I can teach this all through. It's an eye opener for me. These are things that I enjoy discussing as a public commentator. So these are things that I've discussed live on TV. I've discussed on various webinars, various things. So it's like something I enjoy doing. Please let's move on. We've explained fiscal responsibility act. So look at this question here. By the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, the medium term expenditure framework represents the strategy. And this is a medium term expenditure framework we've been spoken about. I've seen it in that question before. The realization of ideals of prudency and transparency in the management of country resources discussed. So in this kind of situation now, let me tell you a clue to answer. This is an icon example question. The key to answering questions like this. If they tell you discuss, the throw it open to you. Now you need to also understand how many marks is allocated to this particular thing. If they say 20 marks, you cannot write one page and leave there. If they say 15 marks, you can still write okay. One page is okay. For me as a person, I used to write one page and the for 15 marks. But because of the one page is still acceptable, but you must hit the nails on the edge. Points, vital points. But they give you 20 marks, they give one and the half page or 2 pages to explain it discuss. And what you'll be discussing, what's even brought about Fiscal Responsibility Act. Then you talk about medium term expenditure framework as part of the key provisions in the Fiscal Responsibility Act. They now major on medium term expenditure framework, explain medium term expenditure framework, talk about transparency, talk about deficit financing, talk about various limits on borrowings, a whole lot of important things that you need to talk about there, and you are good to go. Okay. You don't have access to the video to get your free lectures here. Reach out to the admin, call or WhatsApp. These are the so resources are next step. Please, if you miss this class, you can always rewatch the past session and access the video lectures through this link. And if you are not on our Telegram platform, please you can access. If you want more structured learning, our full video lectures provide in-depth explanations, practice questions, and step-by-step solution. We also have our 60-day success blueprint. You can also get that. So, and final question and answer. If you have any question, now please raise your hand or drop them in the chat box. I really appreciate you for joining today. I hope you did one or two things. If you watch the video lectures, you gain more. Trust me. Um, I'm wishing you success in your ICAN journey. Stay tuned for next week. Um, sorry. Okay, stay tuned for next week topic. Of course, next week we'll be looking at a very key important aspect of our syllabus, which is fiscal federalism, and it's going to be our final class of the diet. So next week we'll be looking at fiscal federalism. Thank you for joining. I'll take questions. In the absence of no question, I would like to take it bye for now. Of course, fiscal federalism is in chapter 52 of your video lectures. You can always read it from there. Thank you. Bye. You have a great night. See you same station. See you same time, same venue next week.